welcome back. Kogi State Governor Captain Idris Wada has lamented the poor state of education in the state and says everything must be done to address the rot before it gets out of hand. At the third combined convocation ceremony of the Kogi State Polytechnic in Lokoja and the state capital, the governor urged those interested in improving the sector to come up with workable suggestions that will assist the government in taking education to the next level. It all started with procession at the Kogi State Polytechnic Convocation Square as management, graduates and their parents converged on the institution for the 2009 to 2013 convocation ceremony. Captain Wada was conferred with the fellow of the institution and in appreciation promised his commitment to the development of education infrastructure.
Since the inception of my administration, we have been committing a lot of resources to the funding of education to reflect the goals we have set for the attainment of qualitative educational transformation of our dear state.
For many, education in the country is facing immense challenges and need to be quickly addressed.
Let us have a secondary education commission so that secondary education can be regulated.
We must invest as a country, as a state, as a local government. We must invest in education. Huge expenditure of money. The education sector, the turnaround, the return of investment takes time to come. But when it comes, that is when the nation will develop.
Education is the greatest legacy any country can give to its youth, and if this is to be achieved, then it is important the talk shifts from what has to be done to improve the sector to paying immediate attention to the crisis facing the tertiary institutions. The contributions of late elder Steve Rhodes to not only the music scene but the arts in general cannot be erased from history books. Jazz maestro Steve Rhodes worked with and tutored many personalities in the industry, and in honor of the man regarded as the father of jazz in Nigeria, an exhibition of his memorabilia was held at the Freedom Park in Lagos. Our tribute tonight pays tribute to elder Steve Rhodes.
It's been 6 years since Nigeria's music impresario Steve Rhodes passed on, but his influence on the arts lingers in the hearts of those he left behind. To remember his achievements, a photo exhibition on the life and times of the late musicologist and broadcaster was organized by associates, family and friends who gathered at the Freedom Park in Lagos.
Has continued to sustain this foundation.
On hand to declare the event open was Nobel laureate Professor Wole Soyinka, who had a story to tell about Steve Rhodes' drive for perfection.
There's anything to take away from Democracy Day can only be an artistic event of this kind, honoring those who deserve honoring.
And the tour begins with a collection of awards, news clippings and other memorabilia on display. So what can be said about the many sides of Steve Rhodes? As a contemporary,
I have been privileged in my life to be a successor in most of the things in the professional career. I worked with him in television, I produced him in television, I directed most of his shows on television, and when Independent Television Producers Association of Nigeria, he was the first president, he handed over to me. And I couldn't have been more privileged than that.
He was the best Nigerian that I have ever known. That's the truth. He's full of life, full of energy. I watched Steve Rhodes at 80, stood for 3 hours during a production. I don't know if there's a Nigerian living that can do that. 3 hours at 80. I marveled And I said to him, congratulations, sir. This is, for me, the best thing that can ever happen to this industry.
As a father,
always there for his kids, despite the fact he was a real creative person. So he had his moments when he didn't want any of us around, you know, like when he's in the process of creating, he would withdraw and be by himself. But when he was with us, he was very much a hands-on dad, very wise, very, very wise. He was, and very generous in spirit.
And as a mentor.
The thing with music is you've got to love it to do it right. And that's why Uncle Steve was unique. What we need to do now is what he used to do, mentor the young ones. You know, it's easy for them to fall in love with, you know, whatever is contemporary, funky, American influence stuff, you know. But behind all that stuff, even the folks that they are learning from or they are copying have already learned the real music itself. That's why when Uncle Steve put together his choral group, he could train amateur singers, people who weren't professionally performing, but who had talent. He could guide them, train them, until the whole group could sound professional.
We had a cat-and-mouse relationship that was too much into we need to be together. We must, whether we are Tom and Jerry lifestyle. He was both the Tom and the Jerry. I am just the I'm not the only child, the Jerry that refuses to just grow up, you know.
Had a great sense of humor and can be very firm. He's the only person that I've seen stop a performance to tell somebody to get off, you know. And in music parlance, in music, a lot of people don't do that. They just be like, okay, let the song finish. He stopped the song, told the guys and said, take it from the top again, you know. And he's that professional.
Elder Steve Rhodes, simply unforgettable.
Still ahead of the news at 10, the Germans are world champions. Germany this evening won by 1-0 in the match with Argentina for first place at the 2014 World Cup in Brazil. We have more coming up in sports news. Please stay with us.